to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. So I know we do have a quorum, but we do need to have a motion to excuse Eric tonight. Second.
Yeah, I'm going to excuse Eric too.
Second. But it has been moved by Rebecca, seconded by Jamie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. Eric has been excused. All right. Do we have any notes for other business? All right. So I will entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I make the motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second. Then moved by Kathy and seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Just making sure. So we'll go ahead and move on to department reports. City Hall.
We started the process with iWorks. That's our permit company that we went with. They're also doing all of our nuisance complaints. The platform's actually very user friendly. It makes the workflow really efficient. We've successfully set up all of our violations and complaints and started the process of issuing letters and fines through the system. It's gonna just basically make it to where it's a lot easier for us to go out and check for things being finished and not getting done. We had our pre-audit meeting 2 weeks ago. So I've been meeting with the auditors weekly to jump into the 22 to 24 audit. So far, everything that they pointed out that we needed to fix in our last audit has been fixed. There's a couple things that I can see might be an issue, but not anything that they'd already called us out on, just some small stuff that I was doing a little different that I can go back and change, but I'm gonna wait on their guidance for that. I got Sherry signed up for the Mayor's Exchange. I was able to secure a scholarship, which will cover her expenses, including fuel, food, and accommodations. We can submit for reimbursement after she attends the event. I've got me and the girls in the office set up for the AWC event in Chelan. This is our room and board is all covered as well. So it's a member pooling program. It offers excellent networking opportunities and educational sessions on trends and preventing safety and new laws and more. Public records, I've got Carrie signed up for the public records class, so she'll be up to date on how to handle public records. Winlock PD has been amazing. Yeah, patrolling. I don't know if you guys all have noticed, but they were there at 5:30 this morning when I came too fast into town. I literally see them all the time and they are constantly pulling people over. Valentine has been great working with him. I know Jackson's picked up 2 cases that we kind of had open, and I mean, all around they're great to work with, and they're there. I mean, they're out there patrolling. There's been people that have seen them at Wallace Pond driving through. So yeah, there's a lot of police presence now. I've also been working with their staff, Heather. She's going to be taking over a lot of the admin stuff. After talking to Valentine, I think it's just best to keep all of, because he's in charge, obviously, of his TAC officer, so he needs to see that all of the admin stuff is done correctly, rather than bounce back and forth. It's just easier to have her do it. So I've been working with her, getting all of that stuff moved over, so they'll be handling all of our police PDRs as well, which does take some stuff off of me, especially since I didn't have a lot of guidance or training as far as how to handle PD stuff. It's kind of a relief because there's a lot of ins and outs and on that stuff. Training and utility billing. Carly's been working with Carrie on the UB2 guide to enhance her skills in utility billing. We're still trying to pin down an exact like how-to guide with UB2 just since. I think this is a new system for visions as well, so it's been a little bit of a learning experience for everybody, but she's successfully taking payments. She knows how to receipt in water utility bills. She's been dealing with customers, answering phones, getting, her feet wet as far as how the office works. New water rates have been set up in Visions. I'm currently preparing to send letters to all residents, which will include their average usage. That'll help them make an informed decision regarding the tier that they will choose when the new rates go live. I'm hoping to have those out by the end of September, because I'm sure we're gonna get flooded with calls and questions and all that stuff, so. That's really it. Been a busy 2 weeks.
On the PD that's being taken over by Winlock, are there records that we need to have on hand as a history?
Yeah, they're not taking any of our records. They're just gonna be doing our formal reports that are all done in Stillman. They will be sending us, there's nothing like the Nimbers is a good example of them. That's just, it's a database, it's a national database that they use. There's not really anything that prints out. Validations will have to send me, so they will continue to send everything over, so we have complete PD records. But they will be actually their records to retain since they're gonna be working on them. So we're not sending them any cases. They are pulling Toledo case numbers, not Winlock case numbers, so they still are Toledo cases. They're just gonna be retained over there. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I mean, everything's in Spillman as far as physical case files. I'm sure come December when we sit down and actually figure out how this will work, we'll go from there.
Okay.
So, but Valentine's really responsive. I sent him an email and he's back with me right away, and he's working with me on a couple things just as far as how to walk away from PD and, make sure everything's put away properly. So he's been working with me on that, so.
Is there a need for us to have a copy of those records because they're housing them all?
Well, again, it's just simply going over there and filing a public records request. They're Toledo cases.
But we don't have to have a copy of them.
No, they're doing all of our public records anyways, in our courts over there, so it's actually less paperwork.
Any more questions? All right, we'll move on to public work. So it looks like all operations were performed without any issues throughout the month. Things to note that they did get done this month, they did remove brush piles from the park, continued working on the lead service inventory, began filling out assessment management forms for city-owned vehicles and large equipment. They attended a 2-day class on wastewater lagoon operations. They met with the city treasurer to go over and answer any questions on the upcoming budget. Began ordering replacement and repair parts for winter equipment maintenance, continuing to run the screw press. They met with David Kenzie from EPA to discuss the PFAS and lead service line inventory. I'm sure there'll be more coming on that as well. Worked with utility billing on meter verification. Jay is continuing to study for water and wastewater certification, and they began the process for upcoming OIT examinations. So any questions I can take back for public works?
No, I think we covered them earlier.
Okay, I know
Yeah, it's nice to have
it
it at the workshop.
was. Well, if there are no further questions for them, we will go ahead and move on to council reports. So not a whole lot for me to note. I did receive a call from Winlock Mayor Svensson just to check in, see how PD was going. And let me know, no complaints. Were everything that all the feedback I've heard from the citizens here has been just amazing. Everybody's happy to see them. I've not had any complaints about anything they've been doing. If anything, it's been the total opposite. They're phenomenal and going above and beyond, which is really good to hear. Other than that, the only other thing is this upcoming Saturday will be the cider press up at Neighbors Hall. That's all I have to report. Anything to report?
I do not.
Eric has been excused. Do you have anything to report, Rebecca?
I attended the Esterport Day in the park for a couple hours, had a nice lunch. There wasn't a whole lot of people, a few vendors. Looked like maybe from things I saw posted that might have gotten busier in the afternoon, but it was a great day for it and hopefully it'll continue to build over the years. Last meeting I mentioned that I had met with the Cascadia Renewables people. And the one thing I'm not sure I said is that he did say we should alert the community to be aware of scammers, because now that the city is looking into solar. There's a lot of scammers that will come knocking on the door, or, you know, cold calls and things like that. So make sure if you're interested in it, that you verify who you're talking to. And he suggested checking with the Department of Commerce and or Washington Solar Energy Industry Association to make sure they're bona fide people. And I'm gonna meet with them again in Joe this Thursday.
Second.
We have a meeting this Thursday with the solar folks, so I guess they're gonna, oh, that's right, you're not gonna make it. Anyway, so I think we're gonna get some more information for the next meeting. And that's it. I have nothing to add.
And to tack on to yours, door-to-door solicitors are not allowed in the city unless they have city permit. Or you can ask them if they have city permit. If they come to your door.
And if not, leasing them to my house.
And that's all I have.
We will go ahead and move on to committee reports. Planning Commission?
We have a planning commission meeting this Wednesday. We have a workshop prior to that at 5 o'clock. Encourage any citizens who want to see the direction their city's taking to attend. We're discussing the rezoning of the city proper and our UGA. So if you want your input to be present, you should probably attend. That's it.
And I do not have anybody today from the park boards. No. I know I did sit on the last park board meeting. They're still working on their, there we go, comprehensive plan, like 20 years. And then they did discuss the walk in the park / day in the park and how to completely separate those into two separate entities. So other than that, not really a whole lot.
Is that gonna come to council or they just have to go back and review it? Okay.
Yeah. So no public hearing tonight, no special presentations. Is there any public comment on our agenda items? Go ahead and dive on in, so we'll start with our new business. So first one up is ordinance number 807, an ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, amending section 6-2-10 of Toledo Municipal Code, amending sections of ordinance number 802 as necessary, classifying nuisance violations as civil infractions, and providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
I'll make a motion that we accept ordinance number 807.
I'll second it.
And it has been moved by Rebecca and seconded by Jamie. Any discussion?
Rachel, I forgive you.
There it is.
This is just making the violations that were before criminal offenses into civil.
Yes. If there is no discussion, we'll go ahead and move for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will move on to next, which is ordinance number 808. An ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, amending sections of Toledo Municipal Code, chapter 7-1-2, amending sections of ordinance number 804 as necessary, classifying violations as civil infractions and providing for severability and estimating an effective date, or sorry, establishing an effective date.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 808.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved by Rebecca and seconded by Jamie. Any discussion on 808?
Same comment.
Same comment for me, it is, again, it's just, so
Yeah.
these all used to be criminal offenses.
They were, yeah.
And so we're dialing it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we sort of went through this a few months back and we got it approved, but it wasn't worded quite correctly, so it had to be done again, and this is the final version.
I just wanted to read course.
We hope it's the thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, if there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll move on to ordinance number 809, an ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, amending sections of Toledo Municipal Code, chapter 6-3, amending sections of ordinance number 803 as necessary, classifying violations as civil infractions and providing severability and establishing an effective date.
I motion we accept ordinance 809.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Jamie and seconded by Kathy. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay,
Is this the same reason?
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just have one question. Item J, alcoholic beverage. Does that include the campsites? They're not allowed to have a beer at their own.
You can, at your
campsite?
campsite,
At their campsite.
yeah, I know
Okay.
that's at the
I
park.
thought somebody said that once, but I wasn't sure if that was still there. Okay,
And they broke them up into different ordinances with, because of their different titles in our code book, so that's why they're not. That's why it's 3 different ones, because we're addressing 3 different titles in our code book. And not just saying these 3 titles are gonna, these sections are gonna be classified.
okay. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll move on to the ILA for emergency management services.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ILA with Lewis County Department of Emergency.
I'll second that motion.
All right, so it's been moved by Rebecca and seconded by Kathy. And we're open for discussion.
So I think I understand we pretty much really need to do this, but this is just showing the increase in cost for 2024.
Yeah. I was noticing it was. It was small
I mean,
increase, but still.
yeah,
Well.
no,
And I actually had a question on, how they came up with our population, but I see it's estimated by Washington Office of Financial Management.
I'm not sure, that's like, they sent out a couple weeks ago, like the formal.
Yeah.
I think that's where they get,
Yeah,
OFM, I'm not sure what it stands for either.
I was not 100% certain on where they got those numbers either.
They just crunch numbers and make them up and
Mhm.
say, here you go.
How much was the increase?
Like, but
We got 5 new citizens.
Yeah,
population.
it was not all that much. So we went from, is it, were you talking about cost wise or people wise? Cost wise, yeah. So it was at.
695.
573
He's looking
or
for
something
the
like that.
Population.
No, he was looking for the dollar amount.
Uh,
I think it was like 573 and it went up to 601.
Yeah,
Ballpark-ish.
39. 3982 is what it was. So our increase,
It's 601 per capita.
yeah. So
Wait,
not 36. Yeah, it's not a huge increase at all. Do we have any further discussion on it? All right, we'll go ahead and ask for a vote. All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? All right. Next order of business is the ILA for the 911 governance and tax.
Can we go back to that one? Since we haven't moved on yet. it says in here, the Lewis County Emergency Management Committee. So, and it has a representation from each city and county. So are we appointing somebody or how's that gonna work?
You're back on emergency management services?
I am, I wanted to back up the truck before we move forward.
We're gonna appoint you, Jamie.
Yeah. We will need to set up, I think, a committee to have somebody that, aside from Rachel, that is able to jump in and do that so that we can free her up for her normal duties.
Mhm.
Do we have anyone here that would like to volunteer for that?
I'll take it.
Okay. So we can definitely, we will maybe live on that, but or never. Setting that committee. So, but we can definitely do that, will you both be able to attend?
It depends on when the meetings are.
Yeah, we can tag team if necessary.
All right, well, we'll bring that back to.
I'll have something out to you guys this week.
Yeah, and we can bring that back to next meeting as well. Okay, and so we will go ahead and move on to the ILA for the 911. Okay,
Go ahead.
Make a motion that we accept the ILA agreement with Lewis County for the 911.
I'll second it.
all right, it has been moved by Rebecca and seconded by Jamie. We will open it up for discussion.
It says, see section 17 for representation. And my copy is from section 11 to section 24. Is it a secret?
Oh, there's missing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mine does too.
Yeah, so it's a little hard to pass it when we don't have the whole thing.
That's weird. We can, they will go next week.
Yeah, because this is the file they sent me.
Yeah, because this one doesn't give us any representation. On section 5, the executive board, the chair of the operating board and representatives of the small cities may be appointed. Well, nobody from Toledo is appointed. If you're in Chehalis or Centralia, you get to be on the board, but if you're from Toledo, forget it.
Yeah.
So I'm not feeling very represented.
And I think this is definitely something that we can, table the next week so that we get the full document.
Yeah.
And so I would like to amend my motion to table this to the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Amended motion by Jamie and seconded by Rebecca. We'll go ahead and table to the next meeting. Okay. We will move on then to our unfinished business, which is the second reading of ordinance number 810, an ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, superseding ordinance number 782 and update water and sewer service rates by 2%, reduce the bi-monthly water allotment to 6,000 gallons, increase the overage charge to $10 per 1,000 gallons, and offer additional water usage tiers and supersede ordinance in conflict therewith.
I'll move that we accept ordinance number 810.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Rebecca and seconded by Kathy. We'll open it up for discussion.
Were there any changes proposed last meeting? for the first reading.
The only thing that needed to be changed was up in the title was to add in sewer, because it wasn't on the original one. But it needed to read water and sewer service rates, not just water rates.
I thought there was something, but I couldn't remember what.
Yeah, that was added in.
And notices will go out
Yeah.
regarding these changes.
Yeah, so that's what Rich was saying, so we'll get notices out and let them know what their prior usage was, or what their usage was last year, so they can kind of figure out what they need to fit. And I know as we had discussed during the public hearing too, this is something that they'll be allowed. We'll have certain months of the year that you can choose to go up or down a tier.
We'll allow
Big-
a one change.
One change. a year.
Yeah,
Just for a certain period for that year, or you can change it once a year.
you can change it once a year, I think is what we decided on, so that way people aren't like every summer, you know, coming in every 3 months to change it.
Yeah.
So. And there'll be a process for it, you know, submit it in writing or something. Should have something in writing.
Do you anticipate a time frame on when you can accomplish that?
We want to have these rates take effect November, December billing. So I am working on getting those letters out probably by Friday. So I was just waiting for it to pass, and then it looks like the publication is on the 17th. So it should come live tomorrow, so then it's legal 5 days after that, so 5 days after that, then I can start actually pursuing the letters, and then I'm still waiting to hear back from Buzzard on our low usage. I'm probably gonna have to call them, bug them a little bit, but I'd like to have that done by January. Well, but this will take effect November, December billing.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, and no other business, so we will move into public input. Yes.
Hello there.
Hello.
I was looking at my notes on minute notes from 4 weeks ago, and it was brought to the council's attention that our public works department has been, and for some time has been, for free of charge, doing the water testing for the county. Has there been an update on that?
I have sent out multiple emails and have a phone call with them tomorrow, letting them know, and I've seen them down here, I've tried to catch them, because I've seen them go into the park for other reasons. But yeah, there's been multiple emails sent to their heads, so I've got a phone call with them tomorrow. Basically letting them know, hey, this, you need to figure something out, or you need to pay us, because it's not gonna continue as it sits.
Well, I mean, it's gotta be in their benefit to do so, because it'd be more expensive for them to do it with their own forces, but.
Yep.
Like $500 a month essentially. that they
Exactly.
could better use.
Yeah. So they'll be given until probably the next week or so. When I speak with them tomorrow, I'll give them about a week to figure it out, come back to us with what they want to do, and then. If they wanna do their own testing, great, that frees our guys up to not have to do it, and if they wanna pay us, then that'll be just additional revenue for us.
But in item 2, and this is not an issue with the finance department. It's not between Dan and relative to. It's an issue with the planning commission is going to be rezoning the city. And we're gonna have specific zones for specific types of activities. And we're going to be held to those zoning issues. And quite frankly, when the city gets big enough to have some of those things happen, we're not gonna wanna see people going to court on us saying that we've got precedent because you did this here and you did this here and you did this here. So I'm just curious as to where we are with that situation now. And
As far as I know, they're. You know, they have the conditional use permit, I know they won't be holding anything at that specific address. But that was one of the things I was gonna encourage him to come to the planning commission meetings, I know you guys are discussing zoning. But if we have multiple zones for commercial use, I don't know that we'll need a. You know, like conditional uses, I don't know if that'll need to be a thing, like we'll have more.
Are you talking about wanting to rezone that area?
no, I don't think we intend to rezone that area. My issue is if you
play with your zoning and you let things go and let things slide. Based on, for whatever reason, it's gonna come back to bite you in the butt. And you try not to let that see happen. Now, last time I looked on the Lewis County website for the Chamber of Commerce, all they did was change the language to now it's a Dan's, Christina's house.
It's at the park. They're having it at the park.
It's at
Have
the
you
park.
changed that? Okay. But, and then essentially it was being catered to their house, and that's fine, I really don't care one way or another, but if we're going to issue permits for certain things, we need to follow them.
Right, I think in our workshop too, that as a council, we got a little clarification on special use permits and how those work too, so it should be much clearer in the future.
Well, there's special use and conditional use.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I did.
And yeah, they were in violation of their conditional use.
I just wanted clarity, I wasn't trying to destroy information up.
Too late.
No, he came down last week and moved it to the park last week, beginning of last week.
Okay,
Can I give a comment on that too? I think what Steve is trying to speak to there is, you might open yourself up to, sorry, Kyle Wheeler. You might potentially open yourself up later on to a claim of selective enforcement where there's that level of like, if you let one person even bend the line there, that lets somebody else come along later and say, well, I get you now,
Favoritism.
otherwise you're selectively enforcing it against me. And so it's one of those, you have to keep that line clear for everybody at all points.
that was much better said than I did.
And then my only comment is questioning is any bites on the bike yet?
No, and I was actually gonna kind of pick your brain on that. So I found the city's process. We have to strip it with obviously from all the PD stuff, but getting and it's gotta be posted twice. I don't know if you know who the city was using beforehand for surplus. Because it has to be, if it's gonna go to an auction, it has to be posted. I mean, you have to figure out where you're sending it. It has to post in the paper for 2 consecutive weeks with the time and the date of posting, so that way anyone can actually bid on it. But getting someone to actually pick up the listing is proven to be kind of challenging.
Do you know, do we have a paper of record? Do we actually use the Chronicle as our paper of record?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, I could go back that way. I don't know the last time they've actually surplus something though. I could probably reach out to Wanda though, paper, she's pretty good. Yeah, but so the process for vehicles is you have to get an official, I forget what it's called, but it's like a certification of the price of the actual vehicle through Kelley Blue Book. I mean, it's like you pay for it, it's $30 or whatever. And then auctions start at 50%, but that doesn't qualify for motorcycles. So I've got one company that reached out, I sent them photos, I haven't heard back from them yet. So I think it's just getting it stripped down and actually focusing on
Narrowing down.
surplusing it, yeah, and then there's a lot in the PD that can probably be surplus. I was back there the other day looking at stuff and it's.
And I think that's part of the broader conversation that's sort of
Right.
coming with the Winlock merge and stuff, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot back there that is revenue.
The auditors might be able to steer you in the right direction too.
Yeah, they're probably just gonna tell us to follow our policies, which I've got our policy, it's just finding someone to actually. There's gov.u surplus and surplus.gov.u, I mean, there's all kinds of them, it's just, and I can see the ones that we had accounts with and I was able to reset them and get in there, but getting someone to. Kind of get back and give me all the information I need on how to list has just been, I haven't heard back from anyone. It's on my list.
Yeah.
Anyone? All right, no executive session, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
I'll second it.
Moved by Tommy, seconded by Jamie, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right. Meeting adjourned.
I wanted to discuss.
Time's up.